All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, hey there everyone. This is the SpreadJS v13.1 webinar. My name is Kevin Ashley, and today I will be going over the new features that we added in this release and how they can improve your application. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to type them in the chat window and I will go over them at the end of the presentation. For those of you that might not know, SpreadJS is the most complete and full-featured implementation of a spreadsheet component. It was designed for customers with existing Excel add-on solutions in financial analysis and models, taxation and accounting, lab management in medical and pharmaceutical industries, and many more. The use cases are endless. Creating an application with spreadsheet components brings structure, security, and control to every area that uses spreadsheets today. SpreadJS is the product of decades of experience in this domain, and our team is focused on bringing the fastest, most complete, and highest quality component to our customers. Now, before we get started, I will give you a little bit of info about myself. I am the product manager for SpreadJS and have been working on the Grape City team for 5+ years now. I graduated from North Carolina State University with a bachelor's degree in computer science and a concentration in game design. In this presentation, I'll be going over all the features that we have added in our latest service pack, which demonstrates commitment to customer requests and continuous product enhancements. We will start with our two biggest features, which are hyperlinks and format string enhancements. We'll move on to custom sorting, cell properties and settings, and then end with a few enhancements we made to our chart implementation. To start off, we'll talk about the new hyperlink feature. We have always had hyperlinks in SpreadJS, but they were limited to a simple URL within a cell. With 13.1, we wanted to match Excel's hyperlinks and support import and export. The Excel parity part of this includes 3 different types of hyperlinks. URLs will simply navigate to the specified URL in the web browser. The email address hyperlink will open up the system's default email application and start a draft address to the specified address when clicked. The final Excel parity hyperlink type is a workbook location, which will automatically navigate to a specified cell range in a sheet in the current workbook. In addition to matching Excel, we wanted to go beyond that functionality by adding custom commands to hyperlinks, which allows you to either use the built-in commands or custom functions that you define to happen when a user clicks on a hyperlink. This essentially makes the hyperlink act like a custom button, so you can do things like add a new sheet from a template or change some data in other cells. I'll now show you a demo that uses all these hyperlinks types added into a SpreadJS workbook. So as you can see, we have this workbook set up with a bunch of different hyperlinks. So this one is just the simple URL hyperlink. So when I click on it, it will automatically open a URL, navigate to the correct web page. We have the email hyperlink. So I click this, it'll automatically start a draft email to that address. We have this one, which is actually a navigation URL. So when I click on it, it'll automatically select those specific cells in the sheet. And then finally, this one is a custom hyperlink. In this case, it'll open up a new template and create a new sheet with that template. As you can see, it added the new sheet here. The next big feature we will go over is the enhancements we made to formatting in the form of format strings. In previous iterations of SpreadJS, formatting cells to satisfy different requirements was a common use case. However, problems arose when it came to implementing formulas in addition to specialized formatting, as multiple cells would have to be used, essentially requiring hidden or extra sheets or cells to accomplish basic formatting and formulas. With the 13.1 release of SpreadJS, we combine these two ideas into format strings, the functionality of which can be divided into three parts: text templates, formulas, and the @ symbol. Text templates allow you to perform string concatenation without needing separate cells for data and text, giving you the ability to summarize data within a single cell. Formulas are also supported for format strings, which means that formulas can be calculated within the formatter of a cell, and the underlying cell value won't be changed. The final part of format strings is the @ symbol, which allows you to reference the data in the cell of the format string. This means you can combine all three by creating a text template with a formula in it that references the data in the cell that is being formatted. So you can do things like creating a sparkline in a cell and using that data within that cell. I will now show you a short demo I made that shows all these format string types. So here I took the similar template from the Hyperlinks one, but I add some format strings to it. In this case, this is a simple string concatenation, but it's also combined with a formula. So this is actually a sum formula of these two values. And it's simply set as the formatter for the cell. So when I click on it, you'll see there isn't actually any text in there. It's just the formatter. I also used a sparkline formatter here that actually references the data within that cell. So in this case, the data in the cell is just a drop down of these three words, which actually correspond to these different sections in the sheet. And when I choose one of them, it displays the sparkline for that data. It should be noted that format strings are not just limited to creating text templates or formulas. You can do things like creating a formula for converting numbers into text, or converting currency in a workbook from one type to another, using text and VLOOKUP. It works great for visual changes as well, such as custom sparklines for KPI gauges to build up better dashboards without needing extra cells for formatting and data. And I will show you a few of these examples. So here's a simple barcode sparkline implemented with format strings. In this case, it's just string concatenation to add whatever the text is in the cell to that spread text right there. So in this case, it's JS. We could set it to net if we wanted to. As you can see, it changes. We also have the number to words. You can type in any number, and it can convert it to a text version of that. And then we have the KPI gauges. These are simple sparklines that we implemented here. You can see the formula. We also use the @ symbol to reference the data in those cells, which in this case is just numbers. And we've also coded it so that it uses these different properties in these cells. So you can change these properties and have them affect the gauge sparklines. And here's also some of that code as well. So right here we have the barcode. As you can see, it's just a simple string concatenation. Here we have the formatter for the number to word style. It's a pretty complex formula, but the point here is that it was made in a formatter. And then finally, the gauge sparklines. Right here, another formula. Custom sorting is another feature we added in 13.1. And sorting can be useful for visualizing data a bit more clearly. But there are some cases where the standard sorting will just not work. It is for this case that we have created new API for developers to create their own custom functions that will sort on either the text or values within cells. Essentially, you would create a custom compare function with a predefined ordered list, and this can be used in custom buttons or to override the range sorting function. Custom sorting can be used in a lot of different scenarios, but some might include sorting by a specific string order, like t-shirt sizes or grades. You could also sort numerically in cases where numbers might contain other characters, such as the period and IP addresses. You could also create custom compare functions to sort different languages, like the Chinese pinyin. I will now show you this custom sorting in action. So right here, these buttons are implemented with custom sorting in mind. So in this case, let's say we want to sort by t-shirt size. So I click this, you'll see that the data gets sorted by the t-shirt size. In this case, we can't sort this alphabetically because it wouldn't make sense for these specific data. You can also set that sorting, as I said, in the actual sorting button itself. So in this case, say I want to sort these IP addresses numerically, I can sort it ascending. As you can see, it'll automatically sort those. In this next section, we will go over the different cell properties and settings that we added with this release. In our initial V13 release, we added the cell states feature, which allowed you to keep track of different properties of a cell. With database integration in mind, we added the dirty cell state, which allows you to mark cells that have been changed by the user. This can be used in a few different scenarios, but effectively makes it easier to mark changes if a spreadsheet is connected to a database. Per user request, we also added the Excel-like percentage format, which automatically appends the percentage symbol to data during edit mode, just like Excel. Ellipses were also added to cells where text can't visibly fit within the cell, as well as tooltips that will show the full text when users hover over the cell. The position of the ellipses corresponds to the cell alignment, so it will always show the most significant part of the cell. Now I'll show you a demo of each of these features. So right here, this is the dirty cell state. As you can see, any cell that I change changes the color to red. Right here, we have the percentage format. So as you can see, when I go into edit mode, the percentage stays there. So when I start typing data, it'll automatically add it to the end of that cell. Before, if I were to type 65 in a percentage cell, SpreadJS would automatically convert it to 6,500%, which is not correct. So I made sure to edit that and make it like Excel. And then finally, the ellipses feature. So in this case, all these cells are aligned differently. This one's top, middle, bottom, left, middle, right. And as you can see, when I hover over each of these, it actually gives me a tooltip to show the rest of the text in that cell. And then of course, if I were to increase the size of that cell, it would show all of it. Another feature we added in our initial V13 release was our list types, which we expanded upon with the multi-select combo box in this release. This essentially lets users select multiple options from a drop-down list, and the cell value will be a comma separated list of the selected items. For ease of use, we've also added an option to insert copied and cut cells, so users can copy or cut a range of cells and right-click on a row or column header to insert rows or columns to accommodate that cell range. We also made a slight change to our V13 feature for auto-expanding tables to enable or disable that feature. And I'll go over the few demos of these features as well. So right here, we have the multi-select list. In this case, we have a lot of contributors to this page, so I'll go ahead and select them. As you can see, I can select multiples of those options, and the actual value is just a comma-separated list of those options. And then here we have the insert, copied, and cut cells. So let's say, for example, I wanted to copy this range here, copy it, and then let's say I just wanted to paste it here. But I didn't want to overwrite this data. Normally I would have to insert a couple rows before I could do that. But now we have another context menu item called Insert Copied Cells. And it will automatically insert the rows and copy the cells over. And this also works for cutting as well. This is the table auto expand. So normally when you get to the end of a table and you have auto expand enabled, if you were to press tab, it would automatically add another row to that table. But let's say I disabled that. Now when I press tab, it won't add another row to that table. The last set of features we will go over are the enhancements we made to our charts. We added a few smart features to our charts to make them a bit more like Excel. This includes controlling the display of hidden and empty data in a chart so that missing data will not disrupt the data in the chart. You could display this missing data as connected, gaps, or you could zero out the values. In some cases, a formula might return the not available error, and you can now display them as blank data in the chart, so you know when there is an error in the data. And the final chart feature we added in Service Pack 1 is the addition of the series line types for line charts. In this way, the series' data can be differentiated within the chart. And I'll show you a demo for each of these chart features. So as you can see, we have the not available error here. In the code, I've chosen to display it as blank data in the chart. I've also set this up to display the blank data as blanks in the chart as well. So let's say I deleted this. It'll now show a gap in the chart. And this is just coded with some simple properties right here, set on the chart itself. So I've chosen to display this as gaps, but you could choose to display it as connected to the other data in the chart, or you could choose to display them as zeros. And that concludes the SpreadJS v13.1 webinar. I've added links to our forums, demos, and blogs to this slide for your reference. If there are any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them in the chat window now. If there are any after this webinar ends, feel free to email our team at us.sales@grapecity.com.
Hi, Kevin. There were a couple questions, but we already answered them in the chat.
Okay.
So if anybody else has any questions, go ahead and enter in the questions panel. So Kevin, here was one of the questions. Do we support events?
Yes, we do. We have a specific list of events that are supported in SpreadJS. You can find that on our doc page.
Yeah, if you have any, you're welcome. If you have any specific questions of which event, I mean, we can share you the page or just check out the help file. Yeah, we have a pretty long list of events we support. Another question, I'm not sure, I may need some more information. The XLS file, assume it's supported through the ASP.NET service. I'm not quite sure. It's built into the client side, so we do not use ASP.NET service. I'm not sure if that's the question you're asking.
It's supported with Great City Excel now. The GC Excel server component.
Okay, were there any other questions from anyone? We will send around a recording to everyone after this is done. If you have any questions, as Kevin mentioned, just send us an email, post on our forums, and we'll get right back to you. We'll hang on for a couple more minutes. Angular applications. Do we support Angular, I believe is the question.
Yes, we do.
Regarding Angular as well, you're going to see, if you're an existing customer currently on our online demos, I think we're currently just showing the JavaScript demos. Later this fall for the V14 release, you will see a new demo that covers all the major frameworks. So we will be providing code samples for all the frameworks. Okay, if there are any other questions, go ahead and post them. Okay, Kevin, I do not see any more coming in. The next major webinar for SpreadJS will probably be our V14 webinar this fall. We're going to add a lot of new features to that as well.
Don, I see one more question from Ralph Goldberg. They're asking about numeric formatting options. Kevin, do you know if there's any sort of equivalent to the parse format support in that we have in spread.net?
I am not sure. I think so. I'd have to check on that.
It might require a little client scripting to implement the parse format support, but basically the idea is to check what the user entered and then store off a format like in the tag for the cell.
Yeah, I think we definitely have some API for that.
There may be a way to do that with the new format string feature, actually, since it now supports formulas inside of it.
Yeah, there might be some formula that you can apply on the formatter level, and that would just use the value within the cell using that @ symbol.
Yeah, I believe there may be a couple more questions. Let me go through these real quick.
Now, if you come up with any questions after the webinar, please don't hesitate to email them to our support staff. We always love to get more questions. We're happy to reply quickly.
And as a side note, I do have a Word document of all the demos I used in this webinar as well, and we can send that around as well.
Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you everybody for attending. And as Kevin mentioned, if you have any other questions, feel free to let us know and we can reach out to you separately. You can just send that to us.sales@grapecity.com. or post them up on our forums where we monitor those questions as well. Okay, thank you everyone for attending. Have a great day.
Thank you.